Now, President Trump is getting slammed on Twitter, online, for tweeting out a disgusting attack against House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Now, on Thursday, Trump tweeted out a Fox News segment that covered a doctored video of Pelosi that was basically had her appear to have been slurring her words. Maybe she looked a little drunk. In fact, I want to show you that video, as well as a part of Fox News' Ed Rollins' analysis of that. Let's take a look.
We had a little took a little longer on the floor. Custody of the border. Everyone, he started sending signals. The U.S., Mexico, Canada. If that's not the accurate character, some people call it after NAFTA. Some call it NAFTA 2.0. Working together to make past that. Not. If we're the three things. We're very busy people.
Okay, last time I checked, this is 3, not this. It was worse yesterday. We played another clip. She could not put a subject with a predicate in the same sentence. What's going on?
You know, I mean, obviously, I'm 76 years old. She's a couple years older than I am, and we all age a little differently. My sense is she has a very big job. I think she's getting worn down. She always was very neat, very proper. I think she's very inarticulate, which she's never been in the past. And I think to a certain extent, she needs to kind of step in the background and not be out front as much. And she shouldn't be the point person leading the Democrats.
Is she speaking?
Okay, so, and of course he asks afterwards, oh, she's speaker in name only, suggesting that like people like AOC and some of the more younger progressives, they don't call them that. They say the more radical elements of the Democratic Party are actually running the show. I wish. Oh, you know, it would be fantastic if someone like AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, these progressives, Ro Khanna, were actually running the Democratic Party. That would actually mean the Democratic Party would actually win. Okay, again, that's part of my criticisms of Pelosi, is that she's too conservative, is that she's not progressive enough, and in fact, really tries to stop progressives. But anyway, my criticisms aside of Pelosi herself, which ironically I'm supposed to be defending Pelosi, the video, that video is gross. It's actually incredibly ageist for one, and a little bit sexist. You know, some people, I mean, they just age differently than others. I mean, look at this. There's this whole hag right over here. Just can't even put together a sentence. I mean, it's really, really sad. Look, the whole idea was to make her look completely incoherent and not able to lead. Again, that analysis from Ed Rollins. Oh, she's only a couple years older than me, but she looks so worn down. It's a tough job. I guess she just can't hack it. It's super sexist, actually. Oh, she's old, she's losing her faculties, etc. Gross, super gross. And by the way, later on, Fox News, about 3 hours later, I think, Fox News basically released a statement saying, that video, by the way, that was false. That is a fake video that has been doctored. You can see it. It's been slowed down in different... It's obvious that it was edited, of course. When you have the same section replayed like 3 times, you know it's been edited, slowed down in different areas. But that's, of course, that's what the right wing does, right? It is actually fake news. But it's a little too late because to the Fox News audience, message received. And, of course, who watches Fox News the most? That would be President Donald Trump, who definitely watches that show. Okay, now, here's the thing, right? The video was strike back for basically Pelosi saying that Trump is mentally not there, which, of course, we actually do have a lot of indications that might actually be the case. I mean, who else calls himself a very stable genius? I mean, look, it was a very targeted attack on Nancy Pelosi. And look, you guys know me. I'm not a fan of her. But where I go after her for not being progressive enough and fighting against progressive priorities, the right wing will just do the most gross attacks on people. It's not even close, the criticisms, okay? So now after Trump's tweet, which featured this video and read, quote, Pelosi stammers through news conference. He got a lot of pushback on social media, and thank goodness for that. Lynn Erlecker says, even Fox debunked the videos of Nancy Pelosi slurring, yet Trump retweets anyway, knowing they're not real. We don't have a POTUS. We have a POS. That's so good. So good. David Sobel says, Fox News debunked these videos as fake 3 hours ago, but you spread it anyway. Why? It's because he doesn't care about the truth. And by the way, that is still up. That tweet's still up. That segment's still up. Is he ever going to delete it? No, of course not. He'll never delete that. Now, there are other tweets that point out the hypocrisy by reminding everyone how not smart and not eloquent and how very incoherent the president actually is. Sparky77 says, so many Trump tweets with all kinds of misspellings, grammatical errors, lack of context, etc. It is beyond hypocrisy that he criticizes Nancy Pelosi. That's a good point. That is an incredibly fair point. Anybody remember Covfefe? Anybody remember all the... I mean, he couldn't even spell the word council right. He's got an iPhone that's got a spell checker on there, and he still spells council completely wrong. Not just the different kinds of council. No, he actually spells a word wrong. I mean, that's crazy. And just yesterday, a reporter took a picture of Donald Trump's notes from the Rose Garden that most famously had a misspelling of the word accomplishments. Accomplishments. And I'm sorry, he didn't take the picture yesterday, but it was released yesterday. Not to mention that when he goes off script, he just starts rambling. For example, when he talked about one of the hurricanes, he said, quote, "This is a tough hurricane, one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water." What does that even mean? On Puerto Rico, he said, quote, "This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water." I mean, come on. And then, of course, there's his famous thoughts on nuclear. In fact, I want to show you video of that.
But you know what irks me? Look, having nuclear, my uncle was a great professor and scientist and engineer, Dr. John Trump at MIT. Good genes, very good genes, okay? Very smart. The Wharton School of Finance, very good, very smart. You know, if you're a conservative Republican, if I were a liberal, if I ran as a liberal Democrat, they would say I'm one of the smartest people anywhere in the world. It's true. But when you're a conservative Republican, they try, do they do a number? That's why I always thought of, went to Wharton, was a good student, went there, did this, built the, I have to give my credentials all the time because we're at a little disadvantage. But you look at the nuclear deal, the thing that really bothers me, it would have been so easy, and it's not as important as these lives are. Nuclear is so powerful. My uncle explained that to me many, many years ago, the power, and that was 35 years ago. He would explain the power of what's going to happen, and he was right. Who would have thought? But when you look at what's going on with the 4 prisoners, now it used to be 3, now it's 4. But when it was 3, and even now, I would have said it's all in the messenger. Fellas, and it is fellas because, they haven't figured that the women are smarter right now than the men, so, it's going to take them about another 150 years. But the Persians are great negotiators. The Iranians are great negotiators. So, and they just killed us. This is horrible.
Oh, dear God. I'm sorry. No editing needed for that to make him sound completely and utterly incoherent. I did not understand what he was talking about. My uncle, he used to tell me about nuclear before nuclear was nuclear. That is another direct quote. And, quote, he would tell me, there are things that are happening that could be potentially so bad for the world in terms of weaponry. Well, now, wait a minute. He said, what? I think he said 35 years ago, right? Now, we have known nuclear to be very powerful in weapons, or very bad for the world in terms of weaponry since the 1940s, specifically 1945, when we literally dropped a nuclear weapon, 2 of them, on Japan during World War II. We knew how powerful nuclear was. And so, that's really strange that he would say that. It makes no sense, but this is what happens when Donald Trump goes off script. He starts rambling. Oh, I know, but that guy's, he's a very stable genius. But there's more. Only the best cover-ups tweets. Oh my God. Trump claims he is an extremely stable genius. Then tweets a fake video of Nancy Pelosi because he saw it on Stable Genius Lou Dobbs' show, where Stable Geniuses Greg Jarrett and Ed Rollins were talking about it. It's the Stable Geniuses leading the Stable Geniuses. So now, can you say that he has a stable of stable geniuses? I know. Terrible. Communist says, Trump stammers through entire presidency. That's one of my favorite. And now, more serious one, Joe Lockhart said, if the media and Twitter do not make Donald Trump pay a high price for this outrageous behavior, then the message is everyone should do it. And eventually, everyone will. It's time for responsible forces to take a stand. Let's start with Jack taking down this tweet. And that's a reference, of course, to Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter. Now, he will not take down that tweet. And newest news on that is Facebook also will not take down the post. So that contains this video. And they said, well, just because it's false or fake doesn't mean that we should take it down. So, and look, I don't really have an opinion on that. But that's just, that's the facts on that. They will not remove this. They will not take those videos down. And I don't know if they should or not. George Conway, finally, with the last tweet, says, quote, no one needs to doctor a video to demonstrate just how incoherent Donald Trump is. And there are so many. Windmills cause cancer. There's that. Clean coal. They take the coal out and then they clean it. No, they don't. The man is an idiot. And so all the stuff that he said, if you really want to go down this road and say that somebody is not smart or too old or losing their mental faculties, we can have this fight. And I guarantee we're going to win this one. It's a no-brainer. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.